Would you believe that the ultimate form of torture is a jailer leaving you behind an open door? In an era buried within the dark pages of history, there lived a tyrannical king who wasn't satisfied with merely killing his enemies. He mastered the art of assassinating their minds. His greatest enemy fell into his grasp, a legendary commander known for his unbreakable will and unmatched cunning. The king decided that a quick death was a reward this commander did not deserve. So he ordered him to be thrown into the deepest cell in the castle's dungeon, a cold, desolate cell, but with an intentional architectural flaw. Its massive, terrifying iron door was left wide open, with no locks and no guards. Before the king left, he leaned toward the prisoner's ear and whispered words that burned into his skull like fire. Your freedom lies entirely within these walls. You can stay here safely until you perish. But should you ever think of crossing the threshold of this open door, know that in the dark corridor outside lurks a ravenous monster, the likes of which no eye has ever seen, a beast that feeds on flesh and tears bones apart the moment you step outside. The choice is yours: stay alive in the cell, or die torn to shreds out there. Then he left, leaving him alone with the silence and the open door. The first days were incredibly heavy. The prisoner tried to gather his courage, approaching the door with trembling steps, but every time he got close, he would hear the whistling wind in the dungeon, imagining it was the monster's roar. He would throw small stones into the darkness and hear them echo, only for his sick mind to convince him they were the approaching footsteps of the terrifying creature. As months turned into years, the valiant commander transformed into a mere shadow of a man. He shrank into the farthest corner of the cell, clinging to the cold wall, not even daring to cast a glance at the pale light creeping in from outside. Exactly 20 years passed. 20 years with the door wide open before him, inviting him to leave. But the prison of the mind was stronger than 1,000 iron locks. His body withered, his hair turned white, and wrinkles invaded his face. He died a slow death 1,000 times every day out of sheer terror. He imagined the monster's breath, visualized its fangs, until the beast became an absolute reality in his mind, even though he had never actually seen it. The old prisoner realized his end was near, and that illness and starvation would soon finish his miserable life in this dark corner. In a strange moment of clarity, amidst his dying breaths, a spark of the old commander's dignity ignited within his soul. He told himself, "I have lived 20 years like a coward, and I will not die in this corner like a rat. I will go out. I will face this monster. Let my flesh be its food, but I will die standing on my feet outside these cursed walls." He leaned against the wall, stood up with agonizing difficulty that felt like his bones were shattering, and began to walk toward the door. Every step equated to a lifetime of suffering. He approached the threshold, closed his eyes, and threw what was left of his decaying body into the outside. He fell onto the cold ground, waiting for the fangs, waiting for the claws. But nothing happened. A deadly silence fell over the place. He opened his eyes slowly as the fog cleared from the corridor. There was no monster, there were no guards. The corridor was completely empty, illuminated by dim torches leading directly to the open gates of the castle and the world of the free. But what completely shattered his soul was what he saw right in front of him. There stood a massive, tall mirror. He looked into it to only see the reflection of a broken man whose life was wasted in vain. The ravenous monster was nothing but his imagination. The fear planted by the tyrant in his mind was stronger than any physical prison. The cell was never the walls, it was his thoughts. And because every tale has an origin realized by only those with insight, don't let the thread break here. Join us in the origin tale, where the picture is completed and truths are revealed, so that, in the end, you realize and ask yourself this terrifying question.